Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the podcast covering all things soccer in the Queen City. So get in touch, soccer fans. Email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Now, here's your host, Nick Suberling.
Hey, what's happening, Cincinnati Soccer Talkers? Welcome to episode 104 of CST. Glad you're with us here on this lovely Monday evening. Fresh off a week off of podcasting duties. My thanks to Brian Weigel for holding down the fort last week. It was so rough being down in Florida, everybody. I'm just kidding, of course. We have a lot to get to this week. We're going to be joined by new coach of FC Cincinnati, assistant coach, I should say. He's not the head coach, but he's an assistant coach here at FC Cincinnati. We're going to be joined by Austin Berry. Of course, we've got some big news surrounding the club today as they announced the signing of new midfielder Richie Ryan. Plus, we've got some fixtures coming up. Man, doesn't that feel good? Soccer is here. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us, you can on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk. You can also email us at feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Captains. Hey, we got an episode captain this week. Let's give it up for Christina Sharma. Christina, thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. If you want to learn how you can wear an armband of an episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, log on to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. Let's welcome in my cast of characters this evening. Joining me tonight, I know I just spent a whole week with you in Florida, Bill. I can't get enough of you, buddy. How you been, buddy?
Good.
No, you're good. You could talk over your wolf sound. Yeah.
No, who would want to talk over the wolf sound? Anyway, no, I'm doing great. Obviously, you went home a little ahead of me, and then I actually went through Austin on the way back to Cincinnati. So some more warm weather down there. While it was snowing up here for everyone else, I was still down in Texas enjoying that, and then I come back and it's 70 degrees. So it's all good.
It is all good. It was fun hanging out with you the whole week, and you and your wife were very hospitable, having to lug me around everywhere. I was like the worst third wheel ever, I'm sure.
No, but I did get a little worried about you at times. You were so focused on the job and the videos, and you just kind of like hold yourself up with your Macintosh, and I wasn't sure if I had to like roll pizza under the door or what. Just make sure you get food or something.
I know. I did not eat that much last week. That's for sure. But no, it was good. It was a fun time hanging out with you, and looking forward to getting your thoughts on today's practice, because you were down there and you had a chance to talk with the new FC Cincinnati midfielder. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. Let's also welcome back to the show Boston Brazil. Boston, how are you?
Mr. Watch Your Tackles, you're back. After a week without you last week, I'm sure our viewers are happy, although, and I apologize to anyone who loved the British voice, Subs said if I kept hitting on her that he would get rid of her, but I never thought he would really do it.
Yeah, I did it. It was long overdue, buddy. Sorry.
Well, just tell me where you put her, man.
Nah, she's good. We're gonna leave Kem alone. Kem, that is her name, not Kim, but Kem. I found her on Fiverr, and yeah, so. Now we've upgraded to Uncle Rob, my Uncle Rob, the voice of the Cincinnati Soccer Talk podcast now. So hope everybody digs the new intro. I'm glad you liked it, Boston.
Is that season 3?
Yeah, I guess that would be season 3, because we are actually celebrating we've done this now. This is our 2nd anniversary today. 2 years ago today, we launched our first episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So today is a big day in CST history. So I'm glad you brought that up too, Boston. And looking forward to getting your takes on all things FCC tonight.
Looking forward to be here.
And last but not least, we welcome in the one and only Rob Pierce. Rob, welcome back to CST, buddy.
Hello, everybody. It's our birthday. I feel like we should have cake and presents or something. But the FC Cincinnati's raid of the NASL is in full force, I see, with the club signing Richie Ryan, which we'll get to a little later. And we're getting so close to being able to actually see the boys in action with our own eyes. 8 days until the friendly at NKU and 12 until the first home friendly against Nashville at Gettler. It's all very exciting. It
is very exciting, and you're right. FC Cincinnati continues to – it's amazing when you think about this. 3 out of the 4 midfielders that were listed as NASL's best 11 a year ago are in the orange and blue of FC Cincinnati. It's remarkable that the job that Jeff Birding and Alan Koch have done to really just continue to upgrade this roster, guys. We kind of got inklings of it last week with Jeff Reuter's tweet about the signing, but it was made official today. Richie Ryan joins from Miami FC. He is a defensive midfielder. He's going to play that number 6 spot. I know we're going to be catching up here with Austin Berry in just a few moments, Bill, but you were down there today. Talk about I know you had a chance to catch up with him. So for those of you who haven't been able to see our interview with him earlier today, why don't you fill folks in?
Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot came out of the interview with Ryan. Obviously he's been with the team for a whole 1 day, 1 hour of training. So, there's not a lot to say there in that sense. He seems like a really good guy. He actually had gone into the dressing room and came back out to talk to us, which was great. Seems very personable, very complimentary of his teammates. If you saw the video, I actually asked him, if there was anybody that he was now playing with that he kind of remembered playing against. And he brought up Lance Lang right from the start, talked about Nas as well. Obviously, Emery, was in his list of players that he noted, but, again, it's just about more of the positions. So I think in some senses, Nas was probably the one that, as he thought about it more, he really zeroed in on as kind of a number 6 versus a number 10, typical pairing up, offense, defense. And I think in general, he's pretty complimentary of the whole team and happy to be here. So I think Alan also, was pretty nice about it. I have a video of Alan that I hope we can, Coach Koch, that I hope we can get out eventually.
You're on a first name basis with Coach Koch now, Bill, after spending a whole week with him.
Exactly. We've had beers before, it's all good. But anyway, no, but I think, he made some comments as well, which, we can get into as well when we talk about this a little more, but he just said, this is another great signing that's going to, open up options for the team. A lot of people who loved Kenny Walker playing in that number 6 spot last year. And obviously we saw when Kenny was off the field that the team suffered. I think this isn't a bad thing for Kenny. This is actually a good thing for Kenny. What it does is it allows us to push him up into a more versatile role, more of an 8, a box-to-box type player. You have Bone, who's obviously better in a more attacking type role as well. So it actually moves those guys forward on the field and gets them into positions I think they're both a little more comfortable in. And, last year, I think at some level, the 3-4-3 that we played so much was a response to the fact that we only really had 2 solid midfielders, and that was Bone and Walker. And now we've got 4. You've got Nas, Bone, Walker, and now Ryan. So our options have really opened up as far as what we can do on the pitch and the variations that Coach has available to him.
Yeah, we'll go a little more in depth a little bit later on here in the show regarding the signing of Richie Ryan from Miami FC, which is a big deal. That's a really big deal, a quality signing by FC Cincinnati. But we're really excited and pleased to be joined on the King's Hammer hotline by new assistant coach of FC Cincinnati. He is Austin Berry. Austin, welcome back to CST. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. I guess we should start off. You had some big news over the weekend.
Yeah, just a little bit. Busy preseason, and it's been a month in the planning, so I was lucky. I was down in Florida, so it was easy for me to keep the secret for the whole time. But, finally popped a big question, and it's been a fun weekend.
Well, congratulations. I know everybody here in Cincinnati is, I guess, proud of you. I know, I'm sure, did you even, were you even, while you were in Florida, even thinking, you mentioned that you thought about it a little bit, easier to keep it a secret, but in the back of your mind while you're trying to, this is your first preseason as a coach, but at the same time, this is kind of a big deal in your personal life.
Yeah, it was, being a coach now, there's a little bit little bit more planning you have to do than as a player. So, while I was also planning the sessions, I'm also trying to plan my engagement. So, in between all the coach stuff, I was calling Sur La Table, where we ended up doing it, calling their family, just making sure everything was ready to go when I came back, and was fortunate enough. Everything worked out perfectly, and as I planned, so it turned out to be a fantastic night.
So, Austin, this is Bill. Just wanted to ask you a question about Florida since we were on that topic a little bit. We understand that Jack Stern was your roommate. What was that like? He seems like quite the character.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the character. Best friends in Cincinnati, as that's what he's trying to call himself now. But no, it was for him being new to the staff and me being new to the staff. That was kind of nice to have him down there. And being able to chat with him and mess around with him a little bit, and we were joking around. He likes to keep it light too, so it was a good pairing as the roommates, and I think a little bit too good of a pairing. Coaches were trying to break us up a little bit. We were having too much fun, and he was a good guy to chat and bounce some ideas off with, and actually just helped him move into the apartment here. So I'm just glad the friendship is blossoming back in Cincinnati from what we built on in Florida.
Hey, Boston here. Since you're new to this coaching role, especially coming from a player role, I wondered, is there anything as a coach that you've done already that you said you would never do when you were a player?
Ooh, gosh, that's a good question. I'd have to think on that because it's just, these first couple of months have been a blur. Just trying to, figure stuff out on the go, study, watch the video, figure out kind of, my routines and stuff. Maybe if I think of something, I'll get back to you at the end of the show. But right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
Well, fair enough. It's still a pretty new role, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Hey, Austin, Rob Pierce here. Do you miss playing yet, or has this transition even sunk in for you yet?
Yeah, one of the things that I talked with the staff and family and friends about when I was making the decision is, even if I played another 7-8 years or, retired this year, you'll always miss playing. Any player will tell you that. For me, I think it'll hit during the first home game because I'll definitely, I always relish those playing in front of the hometown and the friends and family that I have back here. But so that'll hit a little bit, but it's been so dang busy, and I've really enjoyed it. I like working with this group, this staff. It's been so busy that I don't miss it too much. There's sometimes here and there where I'm like, I almost catch myself jumping into 5v2 or some of the drills sometimes and joking around with the guys, and then I have to pull myself back. You have to be a little bit more serious now. So there's some times where it's still a little new, but I'm having a great time with what I'm doing now, and it's really busy, which has been good down in Florida, now back here. So it hasn't been as hard as maybe some of my family and friends were worried and were talking to me about before I made the decision.
So I've heard a rumor, Austin, that you hate being referred to as Coach Barry. Is that correct?
Then you heard wrong, because I actually make some people like Kenny or Corb, I try to make them call me Mr. Coach Barry to even make it a little bit more serious. But I tell some people, when I think I mess around with Sarah Huber a lot in the office, saying, she'll always call me, "Hey, Austin, how you doing?" I'm like, "Sarah, what the heck are you saying? This is Coach Barry you're talking to." So I make her say Mr. Coach Barry, and it's still kind of weird, but there's a lot of guys that keep saying it. It's sinking in a little bit now. I'm getting a little used to it, but I prefer just Barry. That's just if you want something out of me, that's going to be the easiest way to get a hold of me.
We're hanging out with Austin Barry here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and Bill and I had the privilege of watching you kind of coach firsthand down in Florida a couple weeks ago, Austin, and I happen to notice that early on in the session you were really, really involved with the warm-ups and some of the other activities before Coach and Johan really, I think, kind of took over the other stuff. Why don't you fill folks in on what your role is in a day-to-day practice?
Yeah, Right now, I'm still in the middle of getting some certification and doing some other things, but I'm something that I had always wanted to do and was talking about after soccer was becoming a head strength and conditioning coach for a soccer club. Things like nutrition and working out and your physical fitness. That was for me, that was always kind of big in my career, and something that I'd always been reading on, and Alan and had kind of noticed that over the past year. So when it wasn't kind of a surprise when we talked about it towards the end of last season, and it was something that was back in back of the mind for both of us. That was what I wanted to do after soccer. So we were kind of looking for someone in that position full time, and that's kind of how it started. So for me right now, I handle a lot of the activation and prevention work before the guys get out on the field to get their bodies going on certain days, and then a lot of the warm ups. There's certain kind of things that we want to do on the days that when we go to Yo or go to Alan and the technique, we kind of try to mold my warm-ups to kind of fit into the day's philosophy. And we try to do, for me being a soccer player, which is what Johan and Alan pointed out the most, they wanted someone who is, has a soccer mind and can also help them out tactically, as well as, being able to do this kind of position from the background of being a soccer player. Since I've been in this game for a good amount of time, so I'm able to kind of bring that perspective to this position.
Austin, did you look for any advice as you were making this decision? Did you maybe reach out to Alan or Johan or anybody else like that? And if so, what did they tell you?
Yeah, I mean, Alan and Yo were very much in the conversation throughout the whole thing. We were kind of back and forth. Johan especially, because kind of physical fitness and stuff like that is something that he's done school for. So that's something that he's been a huge resource to be able to use from that standpoint, and be able to track guys and talk about fitness and stuff. And then Alan especially, has been helpful as well. Just letting me. I'm obviously in a little trial by fire, trying to learn it as we go, but being patient and then giving me feedback when we're done. But there's several guys that I've talked to, around the league, some of my friends who play, talking with guys on the team, especially, guys like Kenny and Corbin that I've known for, a long time, talk with them and what they thought about it. And then, there's a guy, Eric Gehrig, I'm going to name drop here, Eric Gehrig, assistant coach with Chicago now, but I've kind of gotten to know him over the years, and last season, he basically it was almost a spitting image of kind of my decision. He was thinking about either, continuing playing or going somewhere else or doing something, and Chicago offered him a coaching position, which is what he wanted to do anyways. I think he still had, and he'll say that a few more years he could have played, but kind of made a decision looking for the next 20, 30 years of his life and not just the next few years. So I talked to him a lot the kind of weeks leading up till I really committed to the decision. So he was a big resource for me.
So we have a lot of people on the show, and we always ask them, have they been to Skyline or what's their favorite spot? We've had a lot of new people, a lot of new answers. You're a native. You've been here a while. So what's the Austin Berry hangout spots?
The Austin Berry hangout spot. Oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but it's good old A-Town. Good old Anderson Township, where I grew up. I got all my things over here. I have a house, so I got a couple of dogs with the fiance now. But I like to be in my backyard, do some yard work. We like to go to El Coyote's, one of my favorite restaurants, and that's a good old Anderson spot. The town center is really hopping now, so we got a movie theater, a Bar Louie. I mean, things are changing around A-Town. I like to stay close to home. I'm a little homebody.
Well, I think you're talking to two Anderson Township guys right now. I think Rob's
jackpot.
here, and I'm here myself.
Yeah, I can walk to El Coyote.
There we go. You guys. Oh God, that's a dream come true right there.
Well, I got to ask you this, Austin, because you see this team firsthand, and I know nothing is won on paper, but when you look at this team each and every day at training, are you thinking to yourself, is there a small part of you that's saying to yourself, man, I kind of wish I had stuck around because this team's going to be pretty good this year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a little bit, I'll say, but
Yeah.
it's definitely it's an exciting group. Not just talent wise, but the kind of guys that we brought in and the mindset. I mean, everyone's a great guy, willing to listen. They come in and they've put the work in. I mean, we haven't had to yell at them too much these first month or so, or however long it's been. Everyone knows what kind of how big this club is and kind of what's at stake here in Cincinnati. But that being said, I don't think it puts too much pressure on the guys. They're everyone's willing to work, so it's a fun, easy group to work with, especially with this being first couple of months on the job. It's a great group for me to kind of ease into it. So it's I think we're all excited for the season start. It's been a long preseason. We'll get a few more games here, but this group's really itching to get out there for some real games, and I know we have a lot of new guys, and they've seen the crowd, so I can't wait for them to kind of experience a home game, which was good for the trend today with a little bit of that background noise. Get them a little bit used to not being able to hear something in the stadium.
Right. Yeah, we had a chance to talk with Richie today, and Bill was down there recording video, and you're right, all we heard was just construction noise.
Yeah, I saw Bill there. Yeah, so that was something that we kind of pointed out. Like, hey guys, look, I know it's not ideal, but this is a fraction of how loud the Bailey and the rest of the stadium's going to be. So get used to it and deal with it. So it'll be a really good time once can't wait to see these guys during the real season when the games really matter, and especially at home.
Well, Austin,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I would say for sure. I could actually hear Coach Koch and Ryan when I talked to them, so it wasn't nearly as loud as the Bailey and the rest of the crowd. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Coach Barry, I know you. I'm just kidding,
Mr. Coach,
Mr. Coach Barry.
You Mr. Coach Barry. You guys can just say you're just on the Barry schedule. Don't worry. We've been around Cincinnati soccer for a while, so you guys are cool.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being with us tonight, and congrats on the new gig. Congrats on the engagement. We're looking forward to hearing more from you, hopefully this season, and we're wishing nothing but the best of luck for you.
Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate it. It's always good being on the show, even though it's only my second time. I gave you guys crap about that last year, of finally being on the show. But no, it's always good talking to you guys. Appreciate the coverage, bringing a lot of pun intended talk of Cincinnati soccer talk around town. A lot of people are following the show, so I appreciate everything you guys do to build the club and soccer in Cincinnati. So it's great for having me on.
Well, thank you, Austin, for the kind words. We'll have to have you on more frequently now because you'll have a little bit more free time, a little bit.
Why don't we start doing these live shows from El Coyote? You get there, a few plates of garlic mashed potatoes, some fajitas, steaks. I mean, we could really get this show going.
That sounds like a plan.
Still have that Kahlua cream pie. I'm in, man.
Okay.
I definitely
deal.
like that idea.
All right, Austin, appreciate you being with us.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
You too. That's Austin Barry joining us on the King's Hammer Hotline. Good hearing from him. And again, congratulations, Austin, to the engagement. That is a pretty cool deal. So we didn't do a show last week. And usually the first week of the month, actually, we haven't done a show. I haven't done a show in 2 weeks because the week before that I was in Florida. And usually the first week of the month, that is when we announce every name of every person that supports us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So I'm going to take a few moments to give a big shout out and thanks to everybody that contributes to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So first and foremost, got to give it up to Tim Bronsel and King's Hammer for their support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Matt Adamczyk, Jesse Gill, of course, Mama Subs, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Mike Hudson, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, and, of course, Kathleen Francis, Jesse King, and Teresa Everidge for their massive support of our show. We appreciate that. And, of course, as I've got to scroll back up my list here, you would think I would put these in order. I did not. John Davidson, thank you for your support. Patrick Lonnie, Arthur Oliva, Dave Tangler. Griffin supports us. Alex Yursky, Reese Johnson, Alex Pennington, Chris DeMeo, Claire Hughes, Carl Feit, Scott Griffith, Josh Leese, Kevin Johnston, Harry Austin, Derek Smed, Greg Harrell, Jack Doyle, Walker Tice, Josh Staley, Doug Ross, the Cincy superfan Tom Grabo, Beverly Sparger, Christina Haithcote, Matt Imholt, Chris Howard, Sarah Spriggs, Paul Hetger, Michael Winland, Mattis Brumbach, Courtney Rice, Scott Party, Joe Collier, Richard Rolson, Christina Sharma, of course, who is our episode captain tonight, Nate Hale, Brandon Jones, Adam Alexander, Chima John, Mike Berryman, and, of course, Dan Village. So thank you very much for your support. If you want to help support Cincinnati Soccer Talk, you can do so by going to cincinnatisoccertalk.com/support. All right, let's dive a little deeper into this Richie Ryan signing, shall we, guys? I know Brian Weigel was extremely disappointed that he was not going to be on tonight because he is like he's our player database. You name a player, he's got a scouting report right at the top of his noggin. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he has the time for it, but he does it. But
not always.
You're right, not always. But he did give us a little bit of a scouting report, didn't he, Bill?
He did. Sorry, that was an inside joke for everybody. Well, one time we caught Brian absolutely speechless when we asked him for his opinion on players. So, but we'll leave that for another story.
Oh, maybe. Should we talk about that? I think we should talk about that.
That's up to you.
Oh, I totally think we should do that. So we're in Florida. We had just wrapped our interview with Coach Koch, which if you haven't watched it, you should do so by going to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Cincinnati Soccer Talk, or even on our Facebook page as well. But afterwards, we were kind of just shooting the breeze with Coach Koch, talking about some stuff, and we asked him, or he asked if he could call Brian to pick his brain. And Brian was stumped. He didn't know what to say.
Speechless, I think, was actually the best way to put it.
Yeah,
Sorry, are you saying Coach Koch pranked Brian?
No, he didn't prank him. He just called up and said, "Hey, Brian, who do you think I should sign?" And Brian just went,
The best part, it was on FaceTime. So we actually saw I think we saw him whiz his pants because he didn't know what to do.
That's great.
As he was driving a car. It was pretty safe, by the way. No, we're kidding, of course. But no, Bill, why don't you fill everybody in on the scouting report of Richie Ryan?
Sure. Just some background. Obviously, he's Irish. So a lot of people have been asking about, how do we have an eighth international player? For anybody who missed that news, the USL did make a rule change going into this season that you can now have more than 7 international spots as long as you buy or trade or whatever an international spot from another team. So it's our understanding that we did, in fact, buy a spot from another team. We don't know what team at this point and may never know. That team may choose to keep the arrangement of finances or whatever has been arranged with FCC secret. I don't know. But it is my understanding we do have 8 international players on our roster now by purchasing another spot. So he is Irish. And if you've been following social media, he's been socializing with Patty a bit and arguing over tea, which apparently is a big thing to the Irish. But he started his professional career at Sunderland. So, he has a nice pedigree as far as European play. He made some 2 appearances for the club in the Premier League, but then he kind of started to drop down. And speaking with him a little bit today, I think he just felt that when you get to the lower level leagues in Europe, they're not so nice. He didn't really care for it there. And he would actually said the lower level leagues in the US are nicer than the lower level leagues in Europe, which I found fascinating. Obviously,
when he says nicer, what do you mean by that, Bill?
I don't know. I just better to play for, maybe more enjoyable, better playing time. I'm not sure exactly. He did kind of make a comparison that USL is maybe like, if I'm remembering right, I think he's like maybe the bottom end of second division, in Europe. So he didn't think we were too far off from the quality there. And maybe it's just, maybe you get paid better. Maybe it's a better cost of living in the US. I'm not sure. He didn't really elaborate into that. It was more of a side conversation that we were having at the time, but he definitely just said that, coming to the US and playing in the lower level leagues to him was a better deal than doing it in Europe. So, and that's why he's been here for 3 years. So, he did play 3 years, or not 3 years. He did for 3 different teams, I should say, not 3 years, but he played for 3 different teams in the NASL. I believe Ottawa, Miami is the one he was most recently with,
and he was with Jacksonville as well.
I was going to say Jacksonville, I think, was the first one.
Yeah, when he left Jacksonville at the time, Miami purchased him. It was the largest transfer in NASL history.
Yep. It was $750,000 transfer fee, which is pretty significant. Obviously, we don't obviously know the terms of his transfer into FC Cincinnati, and I doubt anybody will share those with us. But the point is that this is a significant player who has attracted a lot of attention as well as money in the past. Those 3 teams that he played for, he was actually the captain of all 3 teams. So also very significant, the leadership and experience that he brings to this team. And then I think the other thing just to make note is like the USL, every year the NASL generates a best 11. And Richie Ryan was in the best 11. I think it was 2015 and 2017 for sure last year. And then I think it was 15. So twice in the last 3 years, he was named to the best 11 in the NASL. So it's another one of these players that, obviously brings a lot to the pitch, but is also significant enough to be noticed by all the other coaches and his peers to receive that accolade. And not just once, but twice, which is important. It's significant enough to be named once, but if you can do it more than 1 year in a row, it kind of shows you that you're not just a 1 year wonder kind of thing.
So that's the scouting report. Thank you for that, Bill. Appreciate it. When you heard the news that Richie Ryan was coming to Cincinnati, Boston, how geeked were you?
I pinched myself a lot. Kind of amazed. Tyler Gibson was a great pickup. He goes down with an unfortunate injury. All of us were bummed. We still thought we had the depth to go through. I know we were thinking a forward would get signed first. And then we make this big move and bring in Richie Ryan, which is kind of mind-blowing if you think about it. Now we have a player that is potentially better than anything we've ever had as far as the number 6 role. And it meets all the criteria for me. This is a player that has amazing passing accuracy. He dictates play. He holds possession. Everything FC Cincinnati has ever wanted to be coming out of that 6 role. I feel like we've made some dramatic improvements.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say, adding to what Boston just said, he commented about Tyler Gibson being injured. And that was one thing I did clarify with Coach Koch today. This is not a reaction to Tyler Gibson's injury. To Allen, these are 2 different players. Yes, they both play holding mid type of positions, but they play it in very different ways. They were both players that this club intended to sign, and that this signing was not something that happened in the last couple of weeks since Florida, when obviously we realized that Tyler wasn't going to be playing with us for a while. But this is something that's been in the works for a while. Much like the Blake Smith signing. Apparently, just working with Miami has been a little slower than working with some of the other teams as far as coming to terms and conditions. So this has been in the works. This was in the plans, I guess, for a while.
Miami FC's been a little busy, Bill.
They've been a little busy.
U.S. Soccer.
Yeah. Well, and, they may have been more aggressively holding their players than some of the other clubs. And then once the news came out that they were going to delay until August, that may have been kind of hard to do. So maybe that opened the door up to get Blake and then ultimately to get Richie Ryan onto the roster. And again, this adds a lot of depth to our team. And like I said, Alan Koch said that this was not like a replacement for Tyler. In his mind, he still wants Tyler on the team. He sees Tyler playing on this team once he's healthy again. So, these are similar players, but they both bring different things to the team. So,
Rob, what do you make of the signing? You pretty excited?
Yes, I am. Brian mentioned this in his write-up that he did for the signing, but what this is going to allow Coach Koch to do is things are starting to become a little bit more clearer in the midfield now. We're going to probably see Nazmi Al-Badoui in the 10 role behind the striker. We'll probably see Kenny Walker kind of move up a little bit and be box to box, and then and then Ryan will be the kind of the defensive midfielder, using his long passing to create some opportunities. So it really kind of clarifies things, I think, a bit for the midfield.
Yeah, and we kind of saw it down in Florida. We saw some experimentation. We kind of assumed that Nas would be the 10. And we didn't really see him play in that spot down in Florida, Bill. I mean, we saw him playing more of an 8, more of a box-to-box type, while Corbin Bone played a little more advanced in the midfield spot. But the biggest thing, and again, we talked about this ad nauseum this offseason, and even at the end of the last season, this midfield was just gassed with all the games they had to play, all the extra games with the Cup. Bone and Walker just at the end of the year just looked gassed. And so this is going to provide a little bit more depth. It's going to keep these guys fresher longer through the season, I think.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think last year, again, the 3-4-3 that we ultimately fell into, I think was a reaction to what Coach Koch learned throughout the season. He tried some other players in the midfield, players like Quinn, obviously, who we brought in thinking he was going to be a significant signing for us, and that didn't really pan out. And all of a sudden now you're looking at two midfielders who are the only two that he seemed to really have any confidence in. The only two he retained, really. I mean, unless you count Sem and Garrett, who obviously are changed roles, so I wouldn't really count them. But from last year, the only two midfielders he really had that he retained were Bone and Walker, and he played them, ad nauseum, and they were wiped out. I mean, it's a lot to ask to put them as the only two in the midfield and put so much on them. So, and then when Walker got hurt, we were doomed. I mean, we just we didn't have enough depth. I think right now the 4 that we have, I love, just because, as Rob said, you can easily see Ryan is a 6, Walker is an 8, and Nas is a 10. But then you can also say, well, what if Ryan gets hurt, or what if Ryan needs a rest one game? Well, Walker's played the 6. You slide Ryan or slide Walker back, and then what do you do with the 8 position? Well, Bone could fill in as an 8. We saw Nas do it, like you said, in preseason. I'm not sure that I really believe that experiment worked very well, but obviously Coach Koch will have to decide that. But I mean, to me, Bone can play the 8 very well. He can play a 10 pretty well. And obviously Nas plays a 10 nicely. Walker seems like he can go 6 or 8. So, there's some flexibility in those roles, and they can slide in and out. We can rotate these players. When the open comes up, we're not going to burn the guys out. We obviously have also, I think, very successful move with Sem and Halfhill as well, who can start to fill in on some of these games. So our midfield suddenly went from 2 guys who wore themselves out last year to, 4 solid guys, Gibson in the wings, hopefully coming back to us, and a couple young guys who've kind of shifted up into that role. So we have a lot of possibilities this year.
Yeah, and to expand on that, we hear a lot of people, especially non-FCC fans, right, online saying, how on earth are they going to play all these guys? And, oh, my goodness, the chemistry is going to be a disaster. I mean, I think that you're looking at an FC Cincinnati team that can actually start to formulate strategies for different games instead of just running, the same lineup or running a mended lineup because someone's hurt. Koch has the ability to say, okay, Bob Lilly for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds always plays in this defensive shell. Who are my guys that can pass through that shell and break it down and score goals? Vice versa, we play someone like the Rowdies who are going to attack and press heavy. We can roll out the best people for that situation.
Flexibility. That's really, and I feel like that was a word that we heard quite a bit down in Florida, being flexible with this roster. So that is a big deal, and the fact that they were able to get this guy is remarkable. So congrats to Jeff Birding and Alan Koch for the signing of Richie Ryan, and welcome to Cincy, Richie. We're really looking forward to having you in the orange and blue. As Bill mentioned, Richie has been a captain before, and we're kind of I don't know, with the retirement of Austin Berry, this team is in need of somebody wearing the armband now. Now, I would say a lot of us, I would say 95% of us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk had it in ink that center back Deco Kynan was going to be the captain possibly this year, or it could also be Kenny. If I know you guys Bill and I had the fortune to see 2 games in person. You only get the chance to see one. I know it's hard to make a guess on who you could see being the captain after one preseason friendly watched, but Rob, is there anyone that you're leaning towards right now?
If you're basing it on the Rowdies friendly, then I would go with Deckel. However, Richie Ryan is certainly capable. Clearly, he's had that role in the past. He's got some experience. It could be Kenny Walker, could be really a few different players. And one of the things I think we learned from the videos that you guys shot down there was that the captain's armband is great, but there's going to be some leaders who don't necessarily wear the armband who are going to be able to contribute in many other ways, leadership wise.
Boston, I know you're a big gambler. You putting your money on anybody right now?
I don't know. That's a tough call. I think you have a good problem, right? You have several guys that could fit the bill, and I think it depends on who's going to be the guy that honestly goes in and that's his position. He starts every game, because some of the other pieces might be changing around on the team. Who do the teammates respond to? Who's done it before? I mean, that kind of matters a little bit. If it comes down and they've got 3 great options and they don't know who to pick, then I think Austin Berry should throw the armband at his wedding, and whoever catches it gets the job.
Bravo, Boston. That is well done. Did you just think of that literally on the fly? Because that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have can you handicap it now? Do you have a favorite in the race?
Yeah. I would say Walker. To me, just watching the games down there, it was obvious. Walker and Deckel were the 2 at least that seemed to get that attention. For those games, and I believe for both games they both played in different halves. So each time Walker either wore the captain band or Deckel wore the captain's band, and that way there was one of the 2 of them was always on the field. Just for kicks, I asked Alan at training to see if I'd get a reaction about Richie Ryan and the fact that he had always been captain for every NASL team he played for, and whether that was something that he had in mind. And he gave a very formal answer about well, he's only been here one day and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But then kind of just acknowledged that, look, the guy just came into the team and he hasn't been at the preseason camp. It'd be kind of bad form almost at this point to take him. But the reality is that, if he ends up deserving it in the end, he'll probably get it. But Alan isn't really into captain's armbands, to be honest. I think he looks for natural leaders on the team. I think Richie Ryan, I think Deckel Kynan will both be natural leaders that people will turn to. And they don't need the armband to wear that. I think Walker has earned it as being a 3-year veteran for this team, to have been the captain, at least behind Austin Berry for the last 2 years, like vice captain, whatever you want to call him. So I think he gets promoted officially, and he certainly has stepped up as a leader on this team as well this year.
So we'll see what happens. Look, there's 4 or 5 guys that could wear the armband. In the end, really, it's about in the end, really, it's just about being a leader. And from what I saw down in Florida with my own eyes, there were a lot of guys showing a lot of leadership qualities. So, of course, we'll keep you tuned in on all the news surrounding the armband, although the only armband that really matters is Christina Sharma's, who's wearing the armband tonight for an episode of CST for supporting us. You like that? That was
Nice.
Smooth. We've got a match coming up here in a few days. Boston, why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, Thursday, FC Cincinnati travels over to Indy 11, and we are playing in another preseason friendly. This one's a little closer to home. It's during work hours, so unfortunately, I don't think you'll see a huge turnout. The game is free. I believe it's Grand Park, something like that. So if you get a chance, if you can talk your boss into letting you go, it is at 1:30, and we'll be out there.
When you say we, you mean you.
Yeah. I tried to get one of you guys to go along with me, but everybody has to go to work and earn a living.
I just used the whole week of PTO. What do
Yeah.
you want from me?
That's true. Well, you know what? You were smarter than I was. You know, you go to Florida. I'm like, Indy, yeah, I'll do that.
What's the weather supposed to be like?
I think it's supposed to be okay, actually. You know, this week's warming up. Tomorrow's 76 and sunny.
What?
Bring it on. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but they're going to be playing inside all summer. That's probably a smart call to play your games indoors if you could in the middle of the summer.
Yeah. This one won't be at Lucas Oil, but it'll be a good game. And I look forward to seeing how FC Cincinnati and Indy match up, especially with this talent Indy's bringing in. You know, I think a lot of us had them written off coming into the season. They were too slow. They moved too slow. They didn't have a coach, over a little under a month ago. So
yeah,
we're talking like they've just been signing some major players. And now people are going to say the same thing about them that they've been saying about us. Can they put it together? Chemistry, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's going to be a beautiful battle. Preseason a little early, but especially going into that week 3 match.
And Indy 11 just announced today that they have signed for Jack McInerney, who's got loads of Major League Soccer experience. I did not realize he was a former men's national team player. I did not know that about Jack. Good old Jack Mac.
Yeah, plays on a new team every year.
It does seem like he has been around the block a time or two in Major League Soccer. And now USL.
This is his first stint in USL, yeah. And,
so
I think he's going to be a pretty good USL player.
All right, Rob, I'm putting you on the spot here. Do we got any news on the stadium front? Because I feel like this Major League Soccer expansion / stadium horse has just been absolutely beaten. What do you got for us?
Well, the West End Community Council will be meeting Tuesday at 6, and Jeff Birding will be there to be taking questions. It's going to be at the Carl H. Linder YMCA multi-purpose room, which will be on Lynn Street. And after that, you'll have the CPS Board of Education community meeting. That is Wednesday at 6 at Taft High School. So we'll see what comes out of that.
I mean, the news, the misinformation at this point, and I think I speak for everybody at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We're ready for that part to be done. We're getting ready for soccer. Like, let's get this process wrapped up, put a bow on it, and let's get it over with, because holy cow, this was a long offseason just dealing with this garbage.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're trying to chase down every lead so you can report it. Goodness gracious. And the amount of leads and rumors, and, well, we've been months of this. I feel like we didn't have an offseason, honestly. Crazy.
Bill, any thoughts on the stadium?
Well, I was going to say that, now that you and I are back in town, I think they're prepared to move forward. So,
is that what it is?
Yeah. I mean, they were waiting on us, so you can't do it without us. So
no, for the fans out there, you should have seen Subs before he left. He was stressing, like hands ringing, like, oh man, what if the MLS? What if it all happens while I'm in Florida? I was freaking out. It was enjoyable to watch.
Well, I mean, we kept hearing that it was going to be that Wednesday.
Yep.
And then we saw the schedule that there was no activities on that Wednesday. So, like, I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. I'm in Florida, however many miles away, and they're going to announce it while we're down there. I with my luck, with the way things have gone in my life, I totally expected that to happen. Thankfully, it didn't. And I know, Bill, you were kind of thinking it was going to happen while we were down there, too.
Yeah, certainly bummed out. Obviously, would like to be part of this. It's going to be a once in a lifetime type of situation. So it'll be a blast when we finally get to have that big celebration. If we are also tired of it by the time it happens, that nobody shows up.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know. I think we'll still turn out and have some fun.
We did get this question on Facebook from Danny Ling Jr. He says, still confident about the bid. Yeah, I'll be honest. I just think it's a matter of dotting some I's, crossing some T's. I don't have any indication that it's not going to be FC Cincinnati. So that's the way I look at it. I know Jeff Reuter, who's a pretty good source in Major League Soccer expansion, who absolutely nailed the Nashville expansion earlier this summer. He says FC Cincinnati is the front runners. Grant Wall has said FC Cincinnati is the front runner. I'm not concerned. So just hold your breath for a little while longer when it comes to Major League Soccer expansion, folks. It'll happen. when it happens. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. We're coming down to the last 10 minutes or so here on the show. I believe it is time we start to wrap things up. I'll start with you, Rob Pierce. Rob, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We had a little technical difficulties leading up to the show, but you look fantastic, man.
Thank you. These are my daughter's headphones. She's 4, so she'll be 5 this time next week. So
happy birthday.
Yeah. She's grown up way too fast. But my final thoughts, if you haven't had a chance to see the video compilation that Bill and Soups put together in Florida, you should really check it out. There are videos of all the new players, full of great stuff, what their favorite soccer memory is, what international teams they support. A handful of them like Liverpool, so that's good to hear. And the off the pitch stuff, like who's the biggest joker, and of course whether they've had Skyline yet. I laughed hard when, and I forget now the player, but Bill told him that he'd be asked to leave the city if he hadn't tried Skyline. And I just saw the Mark Village video today where he said he had to look at a map to find out where Cincinnati was after he signed, so that also made me chuckle. So you get to know the players a little. They average about 10 minutes each, so it's a bit of a time commitment, but I've been trying to do about 2 a day. And from these videos, you get the sense that everybody's coming together, which we've seen a little bit on social media too. This wasn't in a video, I don't think, but there's a group of them that were bonding over board games like Settlers of Catan. And as a self-professed board game enthusiast myself, this is very exciting. I love Settlers of Catan, and I have a bunch of other board games. So I was geeking out a bit when I heard that. The Reds do their big poker tournament at Reds Fest every year. So if FCC were ever to arrange something similar with board games, I would be the first in line to sign up.
Well, we don't need FCC to organize that. That's something that we will do. It'll
Excellent.
happen. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's on the I think we should totally put together something like that.
I agree.
Well, thank you for the kind words about the videos. Yes, Mark Village, if you haven't had a chance, had me in stitches many times a couple weeks ago when I was in Florida. He's quite the jokester. So glad you enjoyed the videos, Rob, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Let's head over now to Boston, Brazil. Boston, your final thoughts?
That was a good cover-up, Rob. They totally bought that they were your daughter's headphones. So I'm glad we got that covered. We are about to start home preseason season, which I know the fans have been itching for. No more fuzzy streams or guessing whether it'll be streamed or not. So I encourage all the fans to go out there. We have two small, like right out the bat, we have 2 small stadiums, NKU and Gettler for Nashville. Oh, and against the University of Cincinnati. So no reason we cannot stuff those places full. I'm actually kind of bummed that there's still a blue link when you click tickets. So we need to get out there, support the guys early. This is our preseason, right? As fans and supporters, we need to get in the groove and be on our game match in the home match 1 versus Louisville.
Good stuff, Boston, as always. Appreciate you being with us.
Always a pleasure to be on here, Subs.
You're the man, and I'm really digging the setup you got back there. Nice scarves.
Thank you.
I know you worked hard on that, or did your wife work hard on that?
No, this whole room is mine. She doesn't even come in here. It's beautiful.
Oh, attaboy. Nice. Well done. Final thoughts, Bill Wolf, the Wolf Man.
Well, first off, thanks for the kind words, Rob. I do appreciate the fact that you watched the videos and had such nice things to say about them. And I'd say the same thing to everybody else who's reached out on social media and expressed that they've enjoyed them. I do want to say thank you even more so to Subs, because honestly, yeah, he's rolling his eyes at me now, quietly, so you probably didn't see him. But I mean, seriously, I sat down for probably 5 hours with all these players and just burned up so much digital tape, so to speak, getting all this video. And then somebody had to go through and cut out all the bad spots and put in all the little images and fix the audio and cut out the bloopers and make a fool of me at times. But the most important thing was that he spent literally easily 2 hours per video. So if you multiply those all together, we're talking like almost 2 full days probably by the time we're done of nonstop, no eating, no sleeping, just editing videos. So Nick, superb job. I get all the credit because I'm on the camera, but seriously, you did a heck of a job. We'll clean it up for iTunes. But you did a heck of a job, and truly people need to appreciate what you did to make that all possible. And then I will finish by saying, backhandedly, thanks for all the help. And I am in the process of trying to get, a few more videos for people that I haven't got. So obviously we've signed Blake Smith since I did the interviews. We've signed Richie Ryan since the interviews. Kind of realized when I was pulling out coaches that I didn't get Austin. Sorry, Mr.
Coach Barry.
For an interview, it was like in my mind, probably like him, he was sort of still a player and he was coming back. It was like he wasn't a new guy. So I was like, oh, well, I guess he is really new because Mr. Coach Barry has never been with this team before. So I need to get an interview with him. So I've been talking to FCC about maybe setting up a time here, hopefully before the season really gets going with official games and try to finish up the whole interview process. So I'll have to do a few more interviews, Nick, but we'll get a chance hopefully to meet a couple of new players. Maybe we'll have a chance to try some Skyline chili. Probably not, considering how close we are to the season, but we'll ask anyway.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you what. It's one of those things where that I love to edit video. I love to edit audio. Like that's my passion. That's just something I geek out about doing. So like being able to go down there and interview the players, and you were there a day before me, so I had a chance on the second day to kind of tweak some things, and we added a second camera, and there were some things that we had to work around, like the lighting situation, but we made it work. And you're right, I probably spent 80. I came back from Florida and nobody could tell because I didn't get a tan. I wasn't outside. The only time I was outside was when we were at training for the hour and a half that we were there. The rest of it, I was sitting behind a desk cranking out these videos. And so, yeah, when I got in the airport, my kids were like, Dad, where's the tan? And I was like, sorry, kids. I didn't go outside at all. That's right. But no, it was a blast. And you did Bill did a tremendous job interviewing these players. So he made my job a lot easier. So thank you, Bill.
Break it up, guys. You both did a good job.
It was fun.
It's a soccer bromance.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Soccer bros for life. Don't forget, we've got a live show. I guess this isn't a don't forget because we haven't really announced this yet, but we are going to have a live show March 14th, 7 p.m. at Bucketheads. So put it in your calendar now, March 14th, 7 p.m. at Bucketheads. We will be doing an episode of CST Live, so make sure, again, put that in your calendars. We want to see everybody out there in person. It's going to be a good time there at Bucketheads. Don't forget you can rate and review the show on iTunes, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/iTunes. And again, our thanks to Christina Sharma, who is wearing the episode captain's armband this week. If you want to support the show and all the things that we are trying to accomplish here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, go over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. That is going to do it. My thanks to Austin Barry for joining us this week. For Rob Pierce, Boston Brazell, and the Wolfman Bill Wolf, I'm Subes, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we will see you all next week.